Now that we know about a consumer's budget set, we can ask how the consumer will respond to changes in her income or in the real wage that she receives for the work that she puts in. The easiest way to see this is to turn to the graph that we've been using. And what we see here is that an increase in income, and by an increase in income, we mean that either profits have gone up or taxes have gone down. This increase in income is going to generate a parallel shift in the budget set. Why is it parallel? Well, because the real wage hasn't changed. Now we just apply the reasoning that comes directly from the properties of preferences. If the consumer started at point E and now she has more income, well, because consumption and leisure are both normal goods, she'll want to try to increase both of those. And that means we know she'll move in a northeastern direction from point E. And here I've just marked it as E triple prime. This is a pure income effect. A change in the real wage is a bit more complicated. And the reason for this is that it both shifts the budget line and it changes its slope. By changing the slope, that means that it is changing the relative price of leisure compared to consumption. But because it's also moving the budget line out, you can see that there's also going to be an income effect of some kind. So the bottom line is that a change in the real wage generates two kinds of effects. One is a substitution effect, and the second is an income effect. The impact of a higher wage on consumption is going to be unambiguous. And the reason for that is a higher real wage makes leisure more expensive relative to consumption. So people are going to want to substitute out of leisure and into consumption, raising consumption. A higher real wage is also going to increase income. And because consumption is a normal good, that is going to also raise consumption. So consumption is going to rise unambiguously. The effect on leisure, though, is not so obvious. And that is because the higher real wage is making leisure relatively more expensive. That's going to tend to decrease leisure. But at the same time, income is going up. And because leisure is a normal good, that's going to tend to raise leisure. So the effect on leisure is going to be ambiguous. We see this in this graph. What I was saying before was the higher real wage is going to both shift out the budget line and it's going to change its slope. So here the slope gets steeper, and that's because we are considering an increase in the real wage. So now the question is, where will the consumer go? Well, we know unambiguously that they're going to move in this direction because that entails more consumption. But as we were saying, the effect on leisure is ambiguous. So they might end up consuming more leisure, or they might end up consuming less leisure. And so the direction that they're going to move along the horizontal axis is unclear from the beginning.